there's definitely a lot of things being classified as UFOs or unidentified aerial phenomenon that are obviously military technology. Definitely some of them are. My question to you is, do you believe 100% of them are?
All right, welcome back, guys. I'm Christian, and that's Patrick, and prepare to be sucked into
Black hole
black hole
theories.
theories. Our guest today is Lou Jimenez. He has his own YouTube channel called Lou Reviews. I've been a big fan of his for quite some time. So yeah, Lou, tell the audience, like who you are, what you do, and stuff like that.
Wow. Okay. Well, for the complete stranger of me, my name's Luis Victor Jimenez. That is my full name. I'm an actor, writer, and producer out here in Los Angeles, California. I've basically been doing that for the last 20 years, and also had a pretty successful YouTube channel surrounding the topic of UFOs and primarily the political aspect of the discussion that's been happening primarily since 2017. Met a few of the guys that were really connected to that discussion, and then I decided to organize and execute the largest UAP grassroots political effort for our government to take the UAP topic seriously ever. So did that, and that's like everything in a nutshell.
Yeah. So real quick, what's actually interesting about this is, you and Christian have met. So like, to me, even like, I'm learning about you almost through the same lens as some of these viewers are as well. So it sounds to me, I just want to get clear. So are you basically, when it comes to the UFO topic, you really follow along with a lot of the recent updates as far as the politics go? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, well, for a while I organized an event called the Big Phone Home. I did it 3 times, and basically it was like a telethon. We had a whole bunch of guests on, and we were just basically encouraging people to use our templates to email, call, and write to Congress, and also tweet at them through social media. And it was really successful. It was an idea that I had because a lot of these, quote unquote whistleblowers like Lou Elizondo and Christopher Mellon, and had come out, and I had, they had said at the end of shows all the time, like, if you want to help, the best thing you could do is call your congressman, call your lawmaker, and tell them that you want them to take this a little more seriously. And so I was like, shit, how awesome would that be if everybody did it on the same day? I think it would be a lot more powerful. So I organized that, and I did that for about almost 3 years.
Was this prior to 2017 or after 2017?
No. I started the channel in the very early part of 21. So I did it for, it was called the Unidentified Celebrity Review from early 2021 to November of 22. And then I quit the show, and I basically just stopped covering the UFO narrative from a perspective that had blinders on. I wasn't looking at all of the information. There was a lot of red flags with the people giving the information.
Like Bob Lazar?
And a whole bunch of shit went down. No. With Lou Elizondo and with the whole like all the guys that are talking about this subject from a government perspective.
Would you consider like Tom DeLonge and people like that? Because I know he's
I never spoken with Tom DeLonge. I've never interacted with Tom DeLonge once. I think Tom DeLonge is a believer, a hard believer. He's a researcher. And I think he, like a lot of people in this conversation, that have a belief system when they enter the conversation, I think he's fallen subject to a lot of bad information. And he thinks that bad information is good information and real information, and it's not. It's just, it's disinformation. It's counterintelligence in a lot of ways.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, I guess are you saying that essentially Lou Elizondo is perpetrating disinformation?
I don't know. I mean, I don't have any concrete evidence to say yes one way or the other. I can just say, for a man that advocates for the things that he wants, he doesn't do a lot in the terms of trying to get it done. And, like genuinely get it done. There's people that talk about it, and then there's people that do it. And I was tired of people talking about it. I wanted to actually make some fucking noise and some waves with this shit. So,
like what? Like the classic disclosure where the president addresses the nation.
Yeah. I mean, it would be like, yes, of course. Like, how great would it have been if you had gotten 1 million, 2 million people to call, write, and tweet at Congress members to be like, yo, what's up with these UFOs? Like, what's going on? Like, just let's be a little more transparent. I think if you're a little more honest with the American people, that'll buy you a lot of leeway going down the road, as far as trust from your constituents. If you could show them a little bit of just facts and evidence and truth. Yeah. But I think what a lot of this is just, it's at the core of this issue, there's a very big and very real national security issue. And that national security issue is that there is a lot of drones, there's a lot of balloons, there's a lot of spying, there's a section in the sky that we haven't been looking at just because we haven't needed to look at it. Our enemies know that. Our enemies know that if they make a drone look really weird on purpose, nobody will report it. Because there's the stigma so crazy. So what the government is trying to do in a lot of ways is, and this is what they've done through legislation, and this is what they've sent through their training manuals and have alerted all service members to, and have written in congressional law, like, hey, if you are part of a program, if you see something weird in the sky, if you've experienced something, report it. We have an office now that'll look at it and try and come to a conclusion as to maybe what you saw. And so far, no one has come forward and revealed that they are part of a secret, special access program. The whistleblower protections are in place. There are supposed whistleblowers out there like Bob Lazar. I mean, if he's telling the truth, he should be the first guy in line to go to Congress and be like, here's the Element 115, here are the programs I worked for, and I shouldn't be arrested, right? Because you guys said there's congressional protection for whistleblowers, so there's the evidence. But he hasn't done that. He hasn't even mentioned it. So I think that's really the issue here at the core. And I think that's what I learned over a 2-year period, is that this isn't an aliens visiting Earth issue. It never has been. The reason why, there's two things that could. First, it's the national security issue. And the second thing is we've got a lot of new toys in the sky. And when I say toys, I mean the United States military assets. And the United States Navy, Air Force, and military as a whole would rather have people look in the sky, see something weird, and go, oh my God, it's aliens, instead of, oh my God, that's a new Navy plane.
Well, at least they're not saying, oh my God, those are demons.
Well, some of them are. That's the problem too, is some of these lawmakers are saying that these things could be demons and angels, and it's getting really silly. And the lawmakers that are backing this stuff up publicly and very loudly publicly don't sit on any committees that have access to the data, to the classified data that would give them the knowledge to be that confident in what they're saying. So they haven't seen anything. They haven't seen any evidence. And they don't have access to that kind of information. So they're believing George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell and Lou Elizondo and Christopher Mellon and the handful of people that are scientists like Gary Nolan and Eric Davis and Hal Puthoff and all of this, if you've seen in the last 2 weeks, there's been a lot of articles in the Scientific American. There was an article in New York Magazine the other day, basically saying exactly what I'm telling you. You know, this is a whole bunch of believers that are in high positions within our government and have convinced lawmakers that aliens are here and they should spend money on programs and subcontracts that for people that look at that for them. And guess who's going to look at that for them? The organizations that are petitioning the government, which are Americans for Safe Aerospace, the Soul Foundation, the Galileo Project headed up by Avi Loeb at Harvard. These are all things, like all these organizations are headed up by people like Gary Nolan and David Grush and, you know, just all of these usuals. Everything comes from basically the Bigelow era and the Skinwalker Ranch, the OSAP program, and it is ballooned from this $22 million program to possibly now in the billions, where they're spending a lot of our taxpayer dollars to look at BS.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I can't disagree with anything that you said, because I'll be truthful. Like, I myself have had the same skepticism as far as like understanding the bigger picture, that if a program with all these people want to get funding, they have to motivate the lawmakers to fund them. And so a lot of it does trace back to movement of money coming with power and influence and whatnot. So I guess, but at the same time though, you almost, from what you were saying before and how you kind of led us to that point, you almost got to be excited about the fact that Congress is now at least taking a higher interest in the UFO topic, right? Because that's kind of what you were motivated by before, right?
Yes, that was my initial, and that's why I stopped my channel. And that's why I took down all my videos. Because I realized, oh shit, I was wrong. I shouldn't have done this. Because that's exactly what these guys want to happen. And the reason, like I just said, they are former military members that are either retired or on pensions, and now they're petitioning the government to say, hey, give us a $40 million, give us $100 million, give us $1 billion to look at that part of the sky for you. Because we've got the military people that have been there, like Ryan Graves, the pilot, and David Fravor and Alex Dietrich on our board. And we've got Gary Nolan, who's a scientist. Give us $1 billion, Congressman, and we will figure it out for you. And it's just it's a scam. It's a scam because these guys know that government is very wasteful. And it's very easy. I mean, like a lot of people, and myself included, like I was a sucker for this. Like I was like, there's no way lawmakers could fall for this. There's just no way. And yes, they absolutely can fall for this stuff.
If I'm hearing you correctly, what's going on is almost the equivalent to me matching with a really hot model on Tinder who happens to live 5 miles away, that is actually just a dude sitting behind a keyboard who's going to ask me for a bunch of money and like tell me they love me. So it's like the same way. It's literally a scam.
It's a scam. It's a scam. Yeah.
So
they're Brian Graves is walking into Congress or Senator Kirsten Gillibrand's office, and he's sitting down and having a meeting with her. And if you know anything about lawmakers, how difficult it is to pull aside 10 minutes, let alone a half hour, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour of their time. Like if you're pulling an hour of a congressman or a senator's time, you're either donating very big bucks to them, or they want to talk to you for some reason. And so when you have a pilot who's gone on 60 Minutes and been like, yeah, I saw these UFOs, and he infers that he's seen these things, and then when you actually interview and grill him on that, didn't see anything. It
Yeah, he
was
hasn't seen
secondhand
shit.
accounts of his co-pilots that saw things. And then you have the Aero Office just a couple of weeks ago talk about because he cites this this square within a sphere. It was a drone. It was an experimental drone that the United States was using in 2012.
Right.
Like, and it is a very highly maneuverable, weird-looking multi-copter drone that looks weird on purpose to confuse our enemies. And when they test these things in active, not combat zones, but training areas, sometimes pilots see these things. And so he'll take that experience and he'll walk into the congressman or senator's office and be like, hey, like, I'm a former pilot. I'm an American. I'm a veteran. I've got a great resume. And I've seen something really weird, Miss Lawmaker.
Yeah.
I just started this organization called Americans for Safe Aerospace, and our expertise is to look at anomalous phenomena that is reported by military pilots and other pilots, but they won't take any reports from actual Americans, like normal people. But you know, whatever. And then, but look, Miss Lawmaker, we need a budget. We need a contract. And so, you know, if and when that time comes, we'd like for you to consider us first for when that. They're lobbying. They're lobbying for dollars. So that's what they're doing. And it took me 2 years to see this big picture. But everything whittles down and goes back to OSAP. If you could understand the OSAP program, the Advanced Weapons
Aerospace.
Application Space Program, some fucking thing like I'm forgetting the acronym right now. But yeah, you know, those are the books that George Knapp wrote. You know, the Hunt for the Skinwalker and Skinwalkers at the Pentagon and the Dino Beavers and the werewolves in trench coats smoking cigarettes. Like, it was fucking fantasy land. And when you dig into that program, what you find is a billionaire who got $22 million from his lawmaker buddy, who, by the way, that same billionaire, Bigelow, just donated $6 million, I believe, to Donald Trump. So this is positioning. He's positioning himself so when Donald Trump's president again, he'd be like, hey, let's get some contracts for this UFO thing I'm into. And Donald's going to be like, okay, let's do it, because you paid for half of my fucking campaign. So... But anyway, like, it all stems back to that program. When you dig into the program, you find that they were making up reports and turning in fabricated things to just keep the job. So the guards and the guys who were taking pictures and being like tough guys on the ranch and spending nights out in the fucking desert, whatever, like doing these experiments that they told them to do, like, they were just getting drunk and making up reports and turning them in so that $22 million OSAP program could get renewed the next year. And the security guard or the investigator, I still keep my job. I still keep that cushy little paycheck. And so it's a win-win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like part of it is the government is like, well, people don't know that there's a massive hole in our national security system, and people think that our new tech is UFOs. So, you know, if we got a couple of people, siphoning a few $1 million from government to pull this Ponzi scheme, I guess it's a wash for them. I don't know. I have a feeling there's going to be some consequences coming with this in the next year or two. Like, this is going to catch up to them. And at some point, real journalism is going to catch up to this, and they're starting to. They really are. And it starts with, I mean, Stephen Greenstreet is, if you guys haven't read his work or watched his breakdown of how all of this stuff works, I would highly recommend it. But there's going to be a lot of consequences, I think, coming with this. But
so here's the thing. I believe you, and I would even go venture to say that what you're saying is straight facts. You're just spitting straight facts, all right? Because it's not even a conspiracy to say what you're saying, because it's all true. You know, these programs to continue and the people who are running the programs continuing to have day jobs and keeping a roof over the head, obviously they're financially motivated to keep the program going. And that's not a conspiracy to say that. That's straight facts. Which boils us back to the question, I would say with 1,000% certainty that there's definitely a lot of things being classified as UFOs or unidentified aerial phenomenon that are obviously military technology. And maybe they're not being presented that way for programs, but the fact is definitely some of them are. My question to you is, do you believe 100% of them are?
At this point, with everything that I've seen, everything that I've experienced, and understand also, like I preface this answer with, I've seen a UFO. Like, I believe I told Christian this story, so like
in Cooper City.
Yeah, in Cooper City. So like, we're from the same neighborhood. Like, so that's where I struggle with this. And that's why it says on my Twitter profile, 0 days UFO sober. Because there is part of my brain where it's like, fuck, man, what was that? It was 1993. Maybe it was a drone. There's no doubt in my mind that they had drone systems at that point. No doubt in my mind. But in Cooper City, Florida, like what? Like there's no Air Force base near there. There's an airport,
Yeah. There is a sky.
Here's what I think.
It's one of the requirements.
No, I don't think 100% of them are stuff. But what I will say is 99.99999% of it is our stuff, and that's still really cool. That means that somebody somewhere has figured out how to move either really big objects or a seemingly really big objects in any direction at will. And they have the capability of going from sea to air to space and back. So from that aspect, if that's the case, that is still really fucking awesome. And then for the 0.00000 infinite 01, I think that is something. Let's rewind time 1,000 years, and an earthquake happens, and we're let's say we're in a field together, all three of us. What do we think that earthquake is coming from? Probably the gods.
Yeah.
Or some angry, deity. And then now today we know, those are tectonic plates shifting under our feet. This got nothing to do with any sort of angry gods. And the reason why we have droughts is because, weather patterns and weather systems. The planet is a weird, unpredictable place. And we're starting to maybe kind of get some sort of grasp on it. But I think that's what maybe I saw and what maybe people are experiencing. There's something that people are seeing, but for whatever reason, we cannot make any sense of it just because we don't have an understanding of it yet. We don't have the proper perspective of it yet. And maybe it's something very natural that exists in our atmosphere that we just weren't aware of, that apparently has some kind of intelligence. But
skyfish.
Yeah, like a skyfish. I mean, I don't know, man. Like it's that's again the infinite 0.1%. Like, if I need to go down that rabbit hole, you better start with something really good that's grounded in factual evidence.
Right.
If it's not grounded there and it doesn't have any raw data, go kick rocks. I'm not interested.
What do you think about Roswell? How long do you think that this has been going on and we've been developing this technology for? How long do you think we've had access to these kinds of technologies? And do you think that this is the byproduct of human development? Or do you think that we were in it?
I think people really underestimate and really don't give ourselves enough credit. Humans are really smart. And all we do is improve on things constantly. I mean, we've been to the fucking moon. We're about to be on Mars here pretty soon. So I never underestimate human ingenuity. Ever, 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 ever. As far as Roswell is concerned, I think Roswell was exactly what the government says it is. A highly experimental listening device to listen to nuclear weapons on the other side of the planet from a balloon really high up in the atmosphere. And what a lot of people don't realize is that those balloons, when they stretch in the sky, the length of them is taller than the Eiffel Tower. They're really long. There's a lot of material that comes on those weather balloons and those sonar listening devices. So in the 50s, that crashes on a ranch, and some fucking rancher sees it. He has no idea what he's looking at. Yeah, he's going to take a couple pieces and go down somewhere and say, oh, aliens, man. You know, like, they have no concept of what that was. That was one of the most top secret things next to the atom bomb. It was ultra top secret. And here's the other thing about it. Jesse Marcel, the commanding officer at the base. I don't have that's not his official title, but he was second, third in command on that military base.
Self-proclaimed UFO believer.
After this happened, but he never got demoted. He only got promoted in his career after Roswell, which is kind of weird because you would think the military and the highest, most greediest military industrial complex the planet has ever seen, some goofy third guy in charge at the military base, second guy in charge, just revealed to the world aliens crashed into our planet. They would never want that out there, ever. Unless, of course, the information was put out there on purpose to, again, get people to go, oh my God, aliens, instead of, oh my God, United States Air Force.
Yeah.
So they've perfected this through the last 60 years, and they use it on every single craft and experimental weapon that they test. They used to fly the B-2 bomber and the F-1, the Nighthawk over Los Angeles in the late 60s and 70s, just to see what would happen. Like, what would happen to the phone lines? What would the police response be? Would hospitals get, like, they just wanted to see what people would think. And yeah, most of them thought they saw a UFO because in 1977 or whatever, they look up in the sky and they see a massive triangle. They're like, what the fuck is that? And at the same time, Star Wars just came out. And get what are the shape of those, it's in the pop culture, man. Like, it's the human mind makes those jumps for you all the time. And so that's another thing that I really had to learn about myself in this whole process was you got to check your belief system at the door. My experience is not evidence. I'm not a scientist, but I know math will say it. I can't say with certainty it's 100%. I can never say that. That would be like the most blissfully unaware thing I could possibly say. So yes, of course, I'll leave this sliver of hope that, hey, maybe it was an alien, that would be awesome. Yeah. That would be an awesome answer too. And I'm open for that, but I need the evidence.
But if you had to guess of the actual sightings that have happened, not just saying, hey, what percentage in general do you think is real and what's military, but like of the stuff that's actually been seen by people, do you think 100% of that is top secret military technology? And the reason why I say that is because, what you were saying, I would be lying if I told you those thoughts haven't crossed my mind. I am at a place where I question everybody because I know everybody has some sort of motive, especially in politics, right? Mm-hmm. So I hear you on that, right? But it sounded like even the way you almost answered that at first, you're almost leaving the possibility that if there's a 0.00001% might be from some other place, then do you realize the implication of that? The fact that you can't say with 100%
Yeah.
certainty that they're all fake leaves a possibility that some of them might be real, right?
Sure. Yeah, but I mean, what is real? What does that mean? What is, like, the thing is we got to learn where
Definitely
it
not
comes
in
from.
the DMT
What's
dimension, because that's debatably
Yeah.
not real.
That's, exactly. But I mean, look, it's obviously it's a discussion that humans, I'm sure, have had since they started looking up in the stars and gazing upon them. I think it's something, for whatever reason, the human collective, I feel, has this yearning to go there. Like, we have a destiny to explore that. Just like we had a destiny to figure out, oh, there's another continent over there. Like, like that must have been like transformative.
The same desire.
It's the same desire, and I think the outcome is the same too. And I think once you get the understanding of it, then it becomes normal.
You know, me and Christian actually were talking about the outcome, like you said. What, like, let's say all of this is real and it's all confirmed, and then we even have the ability to go over there. What's the outcome? And the conclusion we came to is, at the end of the day, you and I, we're all just mammals, and of course you're gonna try to slap them cheeks. Of course you want to go over there and fuck something, right? If they're hot, you want to. You hope to go to the planet that has hot aliens, right? Not the one with the ugly ones that look like insects.
Okay, so it's funny because I'm writing. I'm literally in the middle of that's why I was in a production meeting. I'm writing a script right now, where the guy's dating a girl who part of the subplot. It's like one of the sub stories in the film. But yeah, he's been dating this girl that he had no clue, but she was like this face hugging monster. But like when she's put together, she's like the hottest girl, and everybody's always like, dude, how did you get her again? Like, how did you score this chick? Yeah, and
I hear that's every girl in LA.
Yeah. I mean, I think I found maybe the one of the last good ones. So lucky me. But yeah. I mean, look, man, it's. No, her name's not 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're wearing the hat.
No, yeah. She actually got me this hat. No, this
Okay.
is just this is my golfing hat. I'm only wearing it because my hair is an absolute nightmare right now. It's all rainy out here and the humidity is insane. Anyway, like it's a fun thought, and yeah, maybe it is. I thought for a long time that, if there is a real phenomenon, the United States government hasn't caught it, hasn't back engineered it, hasn't communicated with it. At the very best, it's been able to observe it.
What are your thoughts on the Wilson memo?
I think they're bullshit.
Why?
Because Admiral Wilson 100% adamantly denies that conversation ever took place. And Eric Davis
doesn't.
Eric Davis is also tied to Allsap and Bigelow and all those guys. And like, Red Flag is I edited a video where I found 3 or 4 different people saying, oh yeah, Eric Davis, he's incapable of lying. He's got this weird trait where he's incapable of lying. It was like you ever seen that clip where they edited together all the local news from different counties and neighborhoods and stuff, and they're all saying the same thing because it's a script. It's like their talking points that they give all the stations to talk about. It's the exact same thing. It's like this was like a memo sent out to Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon and Hal Puthoff, anyone who's ever came in contact with Eric Davis. If you ever have an interview and they ask you about Eric Davis, tell them about how he's got this really weird trait that he's incapable of lying. Who says that? Who's incapable of lying?
Yeah.
Like, it's such a stupid thing to say.
That is definitely like, is that specifically what people say about him? Like multiple people,
Yes.
like that exact
yes.
wording.
That's what Tom DeLonge has said. That's what Christopher Mellon has said. That's what Lou Elizondo has said.
You know, the Occam's razor.
That's what Gary Nolan has said in an interview with Ross Coulthart. He's incapable of lying.
Yeah,
It's
that's
such
like
bullshit.
Do you watch
And the way
football
that
at all?
the notes were found, I'm sorry to cut you off, but the way the notes were found, like it's just too stupid. Like it and when you also like when you talk to John Greenwald and he reads it, and he's worked in television as well, and I didn't really pick up on it until he kind of pointed it out. It reads like a script. Like,
Who is John Greenwald?
John
for those
Greenwald
that don't know?
is the founder of the Black Vault, which is the largest collection of unclassified documents online anywhere in the world. You know, there's millions and like 30 million classified documents that he got unclassified through FOIA requests. So, and
Patrick, have you heard of him before? Or?
No.
yeah, oh yeah,
No.
definitely check out John Greenwald. He's known as the FOIA King, and FOIA is the Freedom of Information Act, which is just basically a form where you can request documents pertaining to certain events within the federal government. And so when someone makes a claim and says, okay, I worked for this office during these dates and I submitted this report on this time, you can go FOIA that. And if it doesn't come back with anything, then they're probably lying, you know, or really mistaken, or they were lied to. And so when you start to FOIA a lot of the things, especially Bob Lazar, when you FOIA the OSAP program, you know, and this is what John has done over the years. But anyway, like, so he's used to looking at government documents and the way government documents work and how they're written and sort of the point of them. And he looks at the Wilson Davis documents and he's like, dude, it reads like a script. Like, just read it. It is like describing the weather outside and the parking lot. And it's like, dude, you're right. This is a script. And who's to say that I can't remember which astronaut's house they found, which estate they found it in. But like, who's to say that he wasn't a fan fiction writer or some kind of, you know, writer himself, where he just wrote shit on the side, just you know, because of his government experience. Who knows, man? But yeah, I don't think those documents are real at all.
Interesting.
Who released them? Like, how did they get
they were
leaked out? How can we
found.
confirm their authenticity?
They were found. You can't. That's the thing. You can't confirm the authenticity. That's why they're so controversial.
I thought it was vetted.
What's that?
Wasn't it vetted? Wasn't it already like vetted and
No,
confirmed?
it
Like,
wasn't vetted
didn't
and
some
confirmed. There
government
was an
officials
Admiral
confirm?
Wilson, there was an Eric Davis, but they never had a conversation about top secret programs in the parking lot of EG&G. The Wilson Memo Davis notes were found in an estate sale of an Apollo astronaut. Like, they just found it in paper, in a whole bunch of different paperwork, and they're like, "Oh, this is interesting." And then somebody bought it, and then just created this. It's on its own. It's like, what the hell is this? This is interesting. But when you ask Admiral Wilson about it, he's like, "Yeah, that never fucking happened." Like, that never happened, and that's an admiral of the Navy. Okay, and then when you ask Eric Davis, who's always wearing Hawaiian shirts, Eric Davis is not even within the top 500 astrophysicists on the planet. Like, he's not this like Einstein character that he's a fringe thinker, and he's known to be a fringe thinker, and every single project he's ever worked on has been fringe and has always failed. Like,
Hey man, what did Eric Davis ever do to you? You're probably hurting his feelings right now.
Other than start OSAP and ATIP and this whole sort of blueprint on how to extract dollars from the United States government to look at bullshit so you could get government dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta
Bro.
beef with them. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta beef with all these guys. Like, once you dig into these guys with real data and real facts, they are all a bunch of pastors in a church passing around a basket.
Yeah.
That's all they are.
Yeah,
they
church
are
is just
they
the
are
same
profiting
scam, but on a smaller scale.
On a bigger scale. On
Yeah,
a bigger
right.
scale, because now it's lawmakers, man. They're writing laws to guarantee themselves these contracts.
So that
and they've
brings me
convinced
to the
these
question,
lawmakers
bro,
that this shit's
like,
important.
how can you and I get in on the action? Because like I would love to get them to pay me a couple
Right?
million, just a couple, bro. I ain't gonna ask for 40. You know what? If we ask for more, they might actually take us more seriously. Like if you,
I think
if you ask for 100 million, they'll go like, "Oh, these guys mean business."
I think the only way you could get it is if you have some kind of resume and record that was in the military intelligence community, or some kind of pilot or certified person that where a senator would stop their day and be like, okay, I'll listen to you for 15 minutes because you served our country. So I don't think the average Joe is going to have a shot at doing this. Or the other way would be like what Avi Loeb is doing, through Harvard, and sort of asking for funds that way, and having, again, the same crew of people on his advisory board that these other organizations have. And it's like 5 or 6 advisory boards. And I think what they're doing is they're putting up as many companies as possible and just being like, okay, let's see which one they go with. Because we're all on board. We're all on each other's boards here. It's crazy, dude.
You know what's funny, and this is kind of related to what you were saying about. So let me ask you this: have you ever taken mushrooms? And I'll bring this full circle. But have you ever taken mushrooms?
No. I've just asked my my sketch team if anybody knows how I can get some, because I've been meaning to try them.
Okay. Well, maybe if we ever link up in person, I could. I could maybe help you out there, but one of the things you like kind of start to realize on mushrooms is that like you realize the fractal nature of the universe, and this is kind of like the Fibonacci sequence, right? It is a fractal. Mm-hmm. It's how the formation of galaxies all the way down to the human embryo, right? And what's funny about everything that you're saying is, what if these aliens on planet Zorban in this fucking weird ass reticuli galaxy are also playing the same fucking game of capitalism, where they're just trying to get fucking just government dollars to fund their silly trips to fucking Earth to go watch these fucking mammals bang each other. It's all fractals.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I think a civilization like that would be able to, like, if you ever listen to Michio Kaku describe the type 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4 civilization, and we're type 0, and sort of what the capabilities as you go higher that on that scale, what they're able to do. And a type 2 civilization can harness the power of the sun. Or excuse me, a type 1. That's the one we're almost at. So the ability to harness the power of the sun, I feel like would
plants do that every day. We
wouldn't
do
need plants.
Yeah, they literally get power from the sun. Like
they do, but our cars don't. Our ships don't. Our infrastructure doesn't. So like I think when you get to a point where it's genuinely like where it would have to be a borderless planet where they understand the greater, like, everybody is going to get their, I guess, like, there's no point in having, it's like Star Trek. It's like there's no point in having a currency. It's like everybody's in it together. And, everybody has skills and everybody contributes in different ways, but there's not like, okay, I got to work here from 9 to 5, or this is my job every, depending on what part of society you're in anyway. But yeah, like I think an advanced civilization like that, to give you a serious answer to your fun question, like I think, yeah, they wouldn't need it, man. Like, they'd be able to take an asteroid and harness gold or palladium or titanium or whatever precious metal they want out of the boundless, bounty that is endless time and space. Like at that point, like gold doesn't have any value because you can, you know what I mean? You can pull in a planet-sized piece of it and just chip it away up in space and send it down to Earth, or whatever planet you live on.
So you're saying you don't think they would have the same motivation, like as far as capitalism and materialism? What you're saying?
No, I think. Just think about the earliest explorers of man. Were they doing it for capitalism and the accolades, or were they doing it because nobody had fucking done it before? And just saying that you did it was sort of the like going to the moon. Like that to me, going to the moon is the greatest jackass stunt ever pulled in the history of man. Like they strapped guys to a fucking rocket and shot them to the moon. Like that is awesome. Like that is so cool. And yeah, man,
Why do you think we haven't been back to the moon?
It's expensive. It's really expensive, man.
So you don't think
Really,
the moon
really
landing was
expensive.
fake?
No.
Me neither. Do you think Buzz Aldrin knows the truth about if aliens are real or not?
No.
Have you seen that clip of him saying there's a monolith on the moon of Mars called Phobos? Have you heard about this?
I don't know if I've seen that clip. Maybe there is.
So
I mean,
Buzz
look,
Aldrin.
I wouldn't put it like the planet is what 30 billion years old or something insane like that. I might even be off by a lot. Like, it wouldn't shock me if like our population is like version 4.0 of Windows. You know what I mean? Like it's just like once we run our version, it's like, okay, it's something happens where it just resets. A few make it, and then boom, you got version 5.0. And it takes another 30, 40,000 years for things to get in place.
So that's the monolith on Phobos, which is a moon of Mars that he was referring to.
Well, do you have the clip of him saying that?
Yeah, I can find that actually.
Yeah, if you can find that, I'd like to hear that.
It is what's his name? Buzz Aldrin.
Buzz Aldrin.
Monolith on Phobos. This is it. Did you know there's a moon?
Okay,
a monolith.
yeah, I've seen this. Yeah.
From the moon.
Can you hear that?
We can visit other people with their habitation. We can keep, if there's something very important to be developed from the moon, I'm not sure what it is right now. And I sure think we should identify what it is for America to make such gross expenditures again for human habitation on the moon. We can help. We can join with. Together, we can explore the moon and develop the moon. We should go boldly
Here it
where
is.
man
Here's where it's
has
coming.
not gone before. Fly by the comets, visit asteroids, visit the moon of Mars. There's a monolith there, a very unusual structure on this little potato-shaped object that goes around Mars once in 7 hours. When people find out about that, they're going to say, who put that there? Who put that there? Well, the universe.
Well,
put it there. If
it was the universe.
Well, I mean, look, I think the moon literally is a meat shield for the planet Earth. The amount of things that slam into the moon, I would have to see better pictures of it, and I would have to have a rover or astronauts actually visit it if it had like structure and writings and carvings on it. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to deny it then, but like it's like, okay, well, if there is a monolith on the moon in the 14 Apollo missions or 15 Apollo missions, they didn't decide to land at this thing one time and maybe take some fucking pictures of it.
This is the moon right here that it's on actually. So that's what he mean by potato-shaped object. It's called Phobos. I actually did a full video about this moon specifically around that
Oh, that's
monolith that
Mars's
Buzz Aldrin
moon.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Mars's moon.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
Mars's moon. Okay, so yeah, now I really don't think it's like I thought he was saying something about like the Apollo missions and our moon. Yeah. Yeah, he during his time they were nowhere near. Like they were just taking like pictures with satellites.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's
And
a
maybe
fun
they
thing
did
to think
do some-
about. And look, Mars at some point looked exactly like Earth, you know. So who knows? Maybe there was some kind of advanced civilization on that planet. Again, like we do know that the universe is a very violent and destructive place, and things can happen quickly that can reset shit real fast. And so. It wouldn't shock me, man. Like
it's full of black holes.
It's infinite time and space. I'm not going to rule anything out, but if you're going to claim there's a monolith on the moon of Mars, I need better than this.
Yeah. Because he's right. You're going to ask, who put that there?
Yeah. Fuck yeah! I'm gonna ask who put that there, especially if it's got some carvings in it, man. You know, but if it's like just like you know, I don't know, an elongated rock that slammed and just happened to hit the planet in the perfect spot at the perfect angle, and now it's just jammed in there like that for some weird reason, maybe. You know, maybe it's a piece of metal from another civilization that wandered through a few different solar systems and found its way on the moon of Phobos. Who knows? Like,
have you heard of Oumuamua?
I have heard of Oumuamua. Yeah, that's Avi Loeb.
What are
That's
your
Avi
thoughts on
Loeb.
that?
Yeah, I've had him on my show 3 or 4 times. Yeah, I think it's an asteroid, and when you again, when you start digging into these people, you really start understanding who they are within the circles they run in. So other astrophysicists and other astronomers can't stand Avi Loeb because he doesn't write any science papers. All he does is put
seem a
theories
little
out
office
there.
rocker, if you know what I mean.
He's also just got investigated by the FBI, the Galileo Project. So I'm interested to see
For why?
They haven't said yet, but that the FBI has basically issued a search warrant, you know, and has like
He's
people
probably
being
keeping
questioned at
alien
that.
bodies in there.
Maybe. But yeah, like I think, you know, I'm not an astronomer, so I don't know the math of it. But when you listen to his colleagues, they all hate him because he's throwing everyone under the bus and he's just selling books on sensational possibilities. Yeah, maybe Oumuamua is some kind of alien craft, but from all of the measurements that we've taken, that's not what it is. It's a comet.
Let me ask you: Didn't he like fly out, or like he took a boat to the Pacific to recover some material?
Yeah.
Whatever happened?
Nothing.
Whatever happened with that?
Nothing
What was
happened
nothing?
with that. It was, I believe, it ended up being a piece of either satellite debris or something just mundane. Like nothing came of it. Like you would have heard about it. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he's just, and I think that's why, because I think he might be fooling investors into investing into Galileo Project and not doing the things that he's supposed to be doing with it. But we'll see.
Doesn't he quote like extraordinary claims require extraordinary funding or something like that?
He sure did.
Is that the quote?
I believe he did. I believe he did.
I mean, he's not wrong,
No,
though, right?
Nope, he's not wrong. But I think if there was something genuine to this, and again, like when you listen to the smartest guys in the room, and I think Eric Weinstein's one of those guys, like if there was any real, tangible place to go with these principles and ideas, there would be a gaggle of scientists just foaming at the mouth to look at this and study it and try to figure it out. And there's not. Like when you see, like each year, you know, every physicist that graduates from every school, there's a list that goes out to all the other physicists and scientists and labs and places where it's just like, okay, here are all the new guys, and none of those guys are going to the government. Like like all of the scientists that should be looking at, you know, thermodynamics, gravitation, you know, anti-gravity, if you want to call it that, whatever sort of technology and science that would require to genuinely understand and create something like that, they're not entering those fields. And they're not entering.
But what
those
about
fields.
Gary Nolan?
Gary Nolan, what is he doing?
I mean, what is he doing? Isn't he studying metamaterials?
No.
And what is
okay? So
what is the Soul Foundation? By the way, what is that? I was trying to explain it to Patrick the other day, but I couldn't really like.
It's a foundation that is petitioning the government for money to study aliens.
Just like
That's
To the
what it
Stars
is.
Academy.
Yeah, but the To the Stars didn't petition the government. To the Stars petitioned stockholders, and then they took those stock monies and invested it poorly, and so now it's just a fucking entertainment company. The difference between the Soul Foundation is that they are not only approaching investors, which you saw Gary Nolan do about 6 or 7 months ago in the New York Stock Exchange. He had a presentation to a whole bunch of Wall Street investors because he was looking for dollars to fund the Soul Foundation. And he's also petitioning the government for dollars to fund the Soul Foundation so they could look at aliens. And Gary Nolan has metal shavings that they got from round balls from Ross Coulthart that fell on a rancher's Texas property back in the 60s. And this guy also happened to be a LSD mushroom taking roadie for one of the biggest rock bands to ever live.
I've taken
No. I'm
mushrooms.
just saying. Like, like that's the guy who gave him the metamaterials. Like, you know what I mean? And then when you take the metamaterials and you put them under a microscope, it turns out that those balls are part of an airplane. They're like bearings that sometimes and in some cases have fallen out of airplanes. But it's nothing more than that. He's looked at that little skull that Stephen Greer came out with, that little skeleton, turned out to be a small child. You know, Gary Nolan looked at that, and he actually debunked that one, so that was fine. But he also claims, and he hasn't written a paper on this, and I got into a tiff with him on Twitter. He had linked an article to basically a paper that him and another woman had written where they were looking at the idea.
Well, that's his first mistake. It's relying on the woman. Right?
No.
By the way, real quick, is it Ross Coulthart or Ross Coulthart?
I say Coulthart.
Okay.
I do the
Yeah.
That's what I do that. So
I feel like we all do it to some degree, but it's like a little slighter because we're really just kind of unsure, you know?
Yeah. I think most people are just unsure. Yeah. The only person really who knows how to do it is Ross Coulthart himself. But yeah.
His accent is very aggressive, by the way. Like it is performance.
Well, it's big time. Yeah. Well, I've spoken to him quite a few times, and he is. He's been on my show 3 times.
Are you guys on good terms?
No, I'm not on good terms with any of these guys because I started questioning them. I started asking them hard questions, and they didn't like that.
Have you heard about that underground UFO that they built a base over it? Yeah. You heard about that?
Yeah, it came from Ross Coulthart. That was a claim that he made on Project Unity's show. He had said that there is he has confirmed through multiple sources that there is a government that has recovered a craft so big, an alien craft so big that it could not be moved. So they had to build a building around it to hide it.
What if alien is code word for Russian?
What are the Russians building that is that big? Like they don't have that kind of
I don't believe it unless I see it with my own eyes.
Have you ever seen a Russian
for
the
government
inside of
dollars?
Have you ever seen the inside of a Russian rocket?
No, I have not.
It's
Have you?
scary.
You've seen the inside of a Russian rocket,
Google it. Google it. It's not like top secret
bro.
stuff.
You believe the shit you see on Google these days?
I mean, dude, you can get the picture of a cockpit of a Russian. You know, they're public space programs. They're not. You know what I mean? They're like they look from like they're from the 1980s. They're just. They don't have the money or the technology to invest in those things as well as we do. And I'm just, it's not a knock on Russia, but I think you know what I'm saying.
Funny story about the Russian space program. I don't know if you know this. And actually, ironically, it relates to Phobos, the moon we were just looking at. They're like 0 for 14 on trying to land a rover on Mars. And the U.S. is like 8 for 9. They're like Mahomes in that bitch, right?
Yeah.
And there's a whole conspiracy around this because... every time they've tried to go there, for some reason, the rover crash lands at the very last second. And on 2 of the more recent rovers that crash landed, one of them got knocked out of orbit while it was about to enter Mars's atmosphere. And it started doing this tumble like this. And it had a camera that was fucking live streaming back to Russian Space Command or whatever, and they kept saying the moon of Phobos and Mars, the moon of Phobos and Mars, and then
just black
darts
screen.
darts across the screen, and you get multiple images of this because it's spinning. Is this long cigar-shaped object that was just really long and white, darts across as it's tumbling, and they said that the length of this object, because we're seeing it in space, right? It was like a fucking mile long, right? And then ironically, the next time they tried to go to Mars, this thing lands on the surface and the signal cuts out like after a minute. So it was just like, it basically sucked, right? So it was a failed mission. But before it cut out, it got images of a long white cigar-shaped object flying through the atmosphere of Mars.
Who's saying that?
So this was actually Russian Space Command that came out with this because they had pictures of it from when it was tumbling, and this object. There was a picture. The picture that showed this long thing with the fucking moon of Mars and the Phobos in the background. This thing is fucking just like, and they're like, we don't know what the fuck happened, but this thing we think knocked it out of, it fucked it up. So I actually don't like if I had to assume that was something.
I think the Russians will make up excuses for anything that they fail on.
Yeah.
Like that's just their MO, man.
After all, this is just a black hole theory.
Yeah, fair.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So going back to Ross Cohort and that structure that was built, something was built on top of it. People speculate that it was the Vatican. People speculate that it's somewhere in like South Korea or something like that. There's different speculations as to where this place could be, but just the thought of that,
Well, here's the thing, right? Is he could tell us. He could tell us where it is.
Yeah, and that's one of my frustrations as well.
And this is a guy who recently said that gatekeepers should be tied behind a Humvee and dragged and stoned to death, essentially.
But he's doing the same thing as what you're saying.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
I say he's got the cock blockers out with him. Cock blockers, the gatekeepers, they could all go.
I agree. If he's got multiple sources, like he claims, because that's how he verified it, right? Right? That's what all good journalists do. Then you could tell us where it is without exposing your sources. Who's going to know who told you that?
Right.
And the other thing, when I really just started thinking about this, what is an object too big to move? Like, how big does that have to be?
Got to be at least 2 tons. Probably about 2 tons.
You don't think there's a helicopter that can move 2 tons? That's 2
In
elephants.
fucking ancient Egypt? Nope.
No. That's not what I'm saying.
They moved 80-ton rocks. Did you know this for the pyramid?
Yeah. And there are theories on how they moved those rocks. But my question is,
it's not a big deal.
An alien spaceship so big crashed into our planet whenever it crashed there. Okay? They found it, and they're like, holy shit, this thing's so big, we got to build a building around it. Okay? So, like, to me, in my mind, I'm going, okay, well, I feel like if it's a football size, they could just chip it apart and take it piece by piece. If it's like a container ship, like one of those massive ships, again, same thing. You could kind of just take it apart and wheel it out piece by piece. That would be pretty big.
If it's destructible.
If it's destructible, right? But if it's too big that it could not be moved, in my brain, I'm going, well, that's got to be at least a city, like, or you know, maybe 20 or 30 airplane hangars put together, something of that size, like just massive. Okay. What kind of construction crew would you have to hire, and the equipment that you would have to contract out, and the amount of people that it would take to build a structure around a craft so big that it could not be moved, and then on top of that, have them all sign NDAs, and not one person has leaked this? Not one construction worker.
Well, I mean,
not one contractor.
Really like, it depends on the NDAs, and you know, I mean, people can definitely keep secrets.
By the way, you could,
not that
depending
good.
on
Not
you
that good.
you could do really.
So.
I think you have a career in you know, like movie trailer announcer. Like that was impressive, bro.
I'm an actor. But yeah, I mean, like, dude, it's just, it just like when you think about it rationally, does that make sense to you? You know, like,
I mean, it doesn't not make sense.
Like, think about right now in Los Angeles, they're building a brand new Clippers arena.
Tana Monjau's fucking some dude somewhere.
That would be a structure so big that it could not be moved, right? Like, it's taken them 3-4 years to build this thing, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people. You need to feed them. You need to house them, especially if it's in a place that's remote. There are, like, it's like you're talking about hiring a city to cover another city. Like, somebody would have noticed, hey, why can't we get a fucking crane for the next 5 years? You know, like, every crane on the East Coast is, where are they? You know, like, people would be like, what the hell's going on? Like, it just wouldn't make sense, dude. That would be like, you know, like when the stealth bomber and all of these planes were being developed, like a few, like, leaks came out, pictures came out of those craft. People had an idea of what was coming for a long time. Especially if you were in the right aviation circles. Like, I'm sorry, just...
So let me ask you this. Why do you think Ross Coulthard just said that?
Because...
Do you think it's just for clout?
He's an asshole.
Is it just for attention?
He's an asshole. He sells books.
And he's damn good at it.
And honestly, I can listen to it. I got the audio version of In Plain Sight. It's magical in my ears. I love listening to it.
I would love to have him narrate my biography.
By anything. You know? He can narrate anything he wants in my life. You know, like, and look, it's not like I liked the guy. You know, I had him on my show. He was... The thing that I always found frustrating about him is you'd ask him a simple question and he'd go on for 45 minutes. And then you're like, oh shit, we've only got 15 minutes left in this interview. Like, what the fuck are we going to talk about? And that's what he does. He just filibusters, and sometimes he just says shit, you know, and he says it to be controversial. He says it because partly I think he says it. Wouldn't shock me if on some level Ross Cole, I know he's friends with Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon and Ryan Graves and all of George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell, all of the
They're probably all
prophets
fucking
of
some
profit.
miners on some island somewhere.
God help them if they are.
If not, they at least smoke weed together.
Awful.
Like, they all hanging out.
I can
like,
tell
on the
you
weekends.
for sure. I think for sure
Weekend at
Bob
Bernie's.
Lazar, George Knapp, and John Lear and Bigelow were all snorting lines and being maniacs in the late 80s. I mean, Lazar opened up a brothel. Like, these guys were they were
Lazard
maniacs.
looks like he knows how to party.
Dude, that guy married a Hell's Angel.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. Yeah, a Hell's
Dang.
Angel who went to prison for an accomplice in murder. Like,
Wait,
he's
a
a weird
female?
guy.
Female?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to learn about
Do you
all
also
of the
believe-
weird
me ask
things
you
about
this.
Bob Lazar, wait, I gotta say this. If you
Yeah.
really want to learn about Bob Lazar, I would look up Dean Johnson on Twitter. Dean, 2 D's,
Dean.
DEAN Johnson on Twitter. And there are threads and articles and research that he's done on George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, Bob Lazar, Jacques Vallée, and all of them are full of shit. All of them. It's bad, man. It's really bad.
Yeah.
And it's a cult. And I think the only reason I'm still even having this conversation is because
that's something that I wanted to ask you. I mean, you have a channel right now called Lou Reviews, and I still watch your videos. I still keep up to date with you, and the majority of the things that you talk about, if maybe the only thing that you talk about is this topic, but in a different perspective, which I appreciate too, because I feel like the field, like this UFO, community, whatever you want to call it, it's weird. I don't even know if it is a community. I think that it needs both perspectives,
It does.
and I feel like you're contributing to that. I mean,
well, here's the thing: is I've never followed.
I appreciate free thinking.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that I've done that I've always tried to do in this field, if that's what you want to call it, is be different. Oh, I came in and this podcast scene was sad as shit. It was so sad. Nobody was doing live interviews. Nobody was, it was all old white men talking about droning, boring shit for 3, 4, 5 hours. It wasn't funny. It wasn't exciting. It sounded like shit. The production quality was really low. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to make it look good, sound good. It's going to be funny. It's going to be entertaining. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to bring my friends. This is the kind of show I want to have. And so I did that show. And now all of a sudden you see all of these other shows that have tried to copy that format that I did with UCR so bad. And all of them, I think for the most part, are failing pretty miserably unless they have access. They're one of the few podcasters that have access to Elizondo and Mellon and these guys. When they get interviews, their numbers go through the roof, because people want to hear these people. But yeah, there's just a lot of shows out there that have tried to copy what I do. And now I've just taken the formula and flipped it on its head. And it's just look, I'm going to, now when you guys are zigging, when I zig and then you zig, I'm going to zag. And so now I'm zagging, and the beautiful thing is that since I've zagged, every single thing that I've said has come to pass. Every single thing. I've been right on. And that's I've never been the guy who's I've been right on everything. That's not my shit, dude. But everything that I said would happen as far as from a legislative standpoint and what these guys are doing is starting now. Everybody's starting to catch up and understand what I was been saying for the last year and a half. So, yeah, I mean, it's
So where do you see yourself going with your channel?
right now I don't care. I just do it for me. I don't do it for for money or I lost all my income doing this. I lost all my income. I was making almost 40 grand a year doing this, and I walked away from that because I was like, oh, it's bullshit. Like, I don't feel good selling this shit. It doesn't feel right because I know these guys are lying about a lot of things. And there's a lot of red flags that people haven't seen that I've seen because I've had access behind the scenes with these dickheads. And so I walked away from that. And now I've taken all of that energy and focus that I've dumped into that and I've put it into other things. I put it into, a film that I'm going to start producing and other projects that are in this realm, in this world. At this point, I'm a comedian. I've always been a comedian. I've always dealt with things with humor. And so instead of staying angry or being the guy yelling into the microphone 7 days a week, I'm going to mock it. I'm going to make films that mock it and highlight how stupid and silly it is, and make a lot of money doing it.
I think I found the loophole for us, for you, me, and Christian. I've got it.
Yeah, what's that?
We could petition the government. Hear me out. For a sum of no less than $40 million. It sounds crazy, but our program, we could call it the Bull Foundation, could be for talking about the UFO subject in a way to control the narrative positively, which means that we just get paid $40 million by the government to podcast about this shit. Hear me out.
Right. Look, man, the government is giving government contracts to a lot weirder and worse shit than that. So I think you got a good shot.
Right.
I think you got a good shot.
That's the point. This is why it's a loophole, because here's the thing. At this point, I don't give a damn if they're from Russia or from the Zeta Reticuli form whatever you want to call it. All right? Yeah. I don't care. The fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, we only have 70, 80 years if we're lucky. Okay?
Right.
And whether we want to admit it or not, once you learn the rules of the game, complaining about it does no good. So you might as well just play the game to the best of your ability. This is why I can't stand LeBron. LeBron is the best basketball player in the world. Why does he have to fucking flop more than anybody in history? Okay? So once we accept the rules of the game, we can start playing the game. And then start winning the game.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, I disagree on LeBron. I love LeBron, so not because I live in LA. I'm just saying,
straight out of the mouth of Kobe's and MJ's trainer, he says in his book Relentless that LeBron is not even in the same atmosphere. The only people he puts in the atmosphere of MJ and Kobe is Dwayne Wade.
I think that's just I think that guy is speaking from the terms of how they train. How hard they train.
Have you read Relentless? By the way, it's a great book.
I haven't
read
it. No, I'll check it out. But
it's all mindset.
If I had to take a guess,
mindset.
I can tell you this: none of them have played for 20 years, and none of them are the all-time leading scorer in NBA history. And
if MJ, let me ask you this: if MJ had started at 17 in the NBA, and he didn't retire,
appreciation for LeBron James, and look, the guy's done this for 20 years. Yeah, the guy's done this for 20 years, and he's still in the top 5 best players on the planet. And if he wants to score on you, he still can. MJ couldn't do that. Kobe couldn't do that. There's no other player that has played for as long as this guy, except for maybe, I think, Wilt Chamberlain.
Kobe did score what, like
it looks like he could play for another 5 or 6
game?
years. He did. Yeah.
I'm a huge Kobe fan. We're both LA. We can both relate on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I like Kobe, but I think the best that's ever done it has been LeBron. He's
like the Tom Brady of football.
It's not debatable.
Right?
Yeah. And Tom Brady is
Mahomes
the best
is not
that's
the
ever
Tom
lived.
Brady. Mahomes is the Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Jordan and
well,
Brady.
You can't call him Jordan until
different
he is.
types of champs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jordan was a once in a generational, once in a era type of life, like a type of talent, right? But Brady is just longevity. Brady is LeBron. Mahomes is Jordan.
We'll see. We'll see what happens when the dust settles. Mahomes is good. I will not deny.
Did you think Mahomes would make it to the Super Bowl this year?
I did not.
I had faith the whole time. Never a doubt.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We got off topic.
Yeah, this just turned into a sports talk.
Yeah. Sports talk radio.
I was actually testing you because because Christian doesn't watch football or basketball. He goes, I watch UFC sometimes. So, the fact that you watch football and basketball,
No, I'm a huge
gain
sports
some
fan.
brownie points for me.
I think that's the thing that just steering it back to the topic at hand. I think that's the thing in a lot of ways that saved me from the rabbit hole I was in and the belief system I was trapped in. Was I have friends, I have family, I have a girlfriend, I like sports, I do shit outside of just UFOs, I golf, I act,
Are you good at golfing?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm a 15 handicap. It's not amazing, but
so
it's not terrible.
You shoot like an 87 or something like that? 88?
Yeah, 85, 87, depending, on what's happening.
I shoot like 115, so I'm terrible.
Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, I think that's sort of a blessing is that that this stuff, I love talking about it, I love looking at it, and I want to be wrong about it so badly, but it's not my life, and it's not the most important thing to me. And if at ever any time I don't feel right about doing it, I just stop doing it, and.
I feel like deep down you want it to be real. Of
course, yeah. I would love for it to be real. So that way I could go, I did see that thing. I was right. And all these people were right. And all these people could be validated. And all these people can fucking feel better about themselves and not be ridiculed and made to feel crazy. Like, I have a lot of sympathy for those people. I really, really do. But the more you dig into those people, again, just like the amount of people I've had on my show in the last 4 years, the people I've spoken to, the experiencers, the every single one of them, especially the ones that have been abducted, the really crazy stories, almost every single one has some sort of trauma, mental illness, loneliness, poor health, poor living conditions. They're just poor in general. It's just nasty stuff, man. And what they do is they come to UFO Twitter to feel accepted, to feel loved, to feel understood, and and I think a lot of them generates these stories. I think some of them have things like sleep paralysis or schizophrenia, and I think that these stories bleed with what they think is real life, and then they come to these places and they come to people like Jeremy Corbell and Linda Moulton Howe and all of these grifters and crystal healers, and they spend their money and they put all of their faith in these people, and that shit pisses me off. Like, it really upsets me. And I think and the reason why the question I get a lot is, well, dude, why do you do this? Why do you care? Why don't you just go away? And I'm like, why doesn't Leah Remini go away from Scientology?
Because it's her identity.
It's her identity. It's something that sticks with her. But also, I think at her core, she feels like a fucking idiot. She feels like an asshole for falling for this and believing in it and advocating for it and getting other people stuck in it. And now she is using every breath and every opportunity to speak out against it and to make people aware of it and help people that are coming out of it. And so that's the
But
that's the best part of
that's
this.
different. That's a religion, though.
This is a religion too. Ufology
Yeah.
is a religion. Let's not fucking cross that. It
Let
is
me
a
ask you
religion
this, though.
and it's got prophets, okay? And
Yeah.
all of the people that I named are those prophets, and they have a collection bucket and they collect a lot of money, man. It is a religion.
So how do we
and
collect? That's the question. We're doing the same thing.
have to-
We're doing the same thing.
if you want to collect, then you have to not ask good questions. You have to play up the lore and the fantasy, and you have to be Linda Moulton Howe. You have to be Jeremy Corbell. You have to be
Linda
you have to be
Moulton Howe, I
sensational.
could outrun her any day. I'm better looking than her.
Hey, man,
I'm better
listen,
spoken than her. Okay?
Listen, I'll tell
And
you
I'm
how
way
good
younger.
Linda Moulton Howe is. Well, let me tell you, if you can do this, I'd be very impressed. If you could sell as many DVDs as she sold on her documentary about Antarctica, and
How
she's
many?
never
Give me a
been
number.
to Antarctica,
How many?
I'll say, you know what? I'll just give you 1,000. I challenge you to sell 1,000 movies about anything remotely
All right,
close to
all right, come on,
the
man.
secret
1,000?
technology and civilization. Dude, look.
Bro,
if I had to
you
take a
just said
guess,
it
she's
yourself.
probably sold over 100, 200,000
Okay.
movies.
100,
You know,
let's,
like,
let's
of
say
that
150. Let's 150,000, right? You
Let's meet in the
just said it yourself. We're playing we're playing a wide field here, all right? From a marketing perspective, everybody's a potential client, okay?
Yeah.
They all want to know what is the answer to is there other life in the universe? And so if we're playing the game of talking about UFOs and profiting from that, which is what a podcast is, that's my motivation. I don't know about you, but I want to make this my career, okay?
Yeah.
So if we want to turn into that, then we got to just play the game better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't want to play that game. That's just not for me. You can do it. I mean, go for it. Just don't be surprised if I catch you on saying some shit, and then I roast you for it. But yeah, go for it. I mean, go for it. It's a wide net. You're right, dude. It's a wide net. And if you're entertaining and you're fun and you're smart, you can. I did it. But I did it with a different intention. The intention wasn't to make. I wasn't doing it to make money. I mean, I wanted a popular show. I was starting a YouTube channel. I wanted, I wanted it to be successful. But that wasn't the motivation.
There's nothing wrong with
No, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But the motivation, the real
humans at the end
motivation
of the day.
was,
Survival and reproduction.
The intentions behind the things I was doing were coming from a genuine place and genuine curiosity and a genuine yearning to help, because everybody was talking about disclose. Talk. We could fucking have these 12-hour Twitter spaces. We have 3-hour podcasts. We could talk about this in circles for fucking hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I wanted to do something about it. And so I did.
And you did.
And I
you
did.
created the Big Phone Home, right? And for people that don't know what the Big Phone Home is, and I know you mentioned it earlier when we started the show, the Big Phone Home was essentially like a grassroots kind of movement to contact congressmen and kind of bring more awareness, to the topic of UAP and like what happened? Why'd you discontinue that? What was the straw that broke the camel's back for
he
you?
just said this.
in this
That's how we got onto this. He said it's because he saw the red flags.
Yep.
Right.
And by
Right,
the
but
time
what
I
was,
did
like,
the
the
third one,
deciding moment?
by the time I did, well, it was when we had our last interview with Lou Elizondo. It was when we asked him about his sock puppet accounts. And
Sock puppet.
yeah, he had sock puppet accounts where he would harass
That
journalists.
sounds weird, bro.
It
You got
was
sock
weird,
puppet
especially-
accounts.
Yeah. Well, you have a
How do you know it was him?
Isn't that
because
like
he
what
admitted
people
it
jerk off
when we asked
into?
him.
Like sock puppets?
yeah. We admitted
Not
it.
me.
Look, I had
don't
heard the
jerk off
rumor.
into sock puppets. Come on. Not
Yeah, that'd
me.
be weird.
But isn't that what most people jerk off into?
I've never done that, so I don't know, man. You tell me.
I wouldn't know. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. I don't know why you think I'd know. What is it about me that I
that
think...
you look like someone who jerks off into sock puppets?
Yeah.
But I just had to know. Is that what people do?
Yeah. I think that's what people do.
So, so Lou Elizondo, you really think that he had like sock puppet accounts, and you really think that he was kind of like, just forging? I don't know. Just what was his intention? What do you think was his intention
To
behind
collect
all
intelligence. That's what he said.
that? So he's counter intel.
That's what he said.
He said that on your show.
That's what he did for 20
He had
years.
sock puppet accounts
Counterintelligence.
to collect intelligence.
Yep.
This is like these
And
sound
also-
like
and also-
logins
and also-
to porn websites.
Also drum up hatred and fanaticism against any journalist or reporter who would report against those facts. So it was really shady shit, and I was like, okay, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And his response to that, which was just insane. So yeah, it was after that. Yep.
Yeah. So it was after that it was that moment where you just kind of just said fuck it, and
Yeah. It was it was that, and then
in the eyes of many turned heel.
yeah, I mean, look, there was a lot of things that happened. But basically, yeah, it got to a point where he was leaking my text messages and trying to get an apology from me that he wanted, and I wasn't giving him a public apology. If anyone should apologize, it should have been him. It was things that he said in that text message that got out, and he blamed it on me, and he turned all these people against me that were supporters of me, and yeah, everything went away. And so I, with that, I was just like, yeah, fuck this, man. Fuck this guy. Fuck this whole thing. I'm shutting everything down. I don't want to further this conspiracy theory. I don't want to be the foot on the head of somebody trying to get out of a rabbit hole.
And this is a guy that you met, you knew in person. You've actually met with Lou Elizondo in person, right?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, yeah, he was on my show 7 times. I had his dad on my show. I mean, he was a regular guest, and so I got to interact with him quite a bit, and I got this, and interview and talk to people that have been to his house and that have interacted with him as well, production companies, other veterans, and all of them are like, he's not a good dude. Like there's something wrong. There's something off about that guy. Yeah,
I actually agree with you. Like, I've never really believed anything he was saying. I think is because I started to see a similar aspect. Like, and you've obviously dove way deeper into this than I have. But as soon as I started hearing that there was a tone that was definitely towards it's a defense issue, aka we need more money. That's when I started questioning him too. I didn't go as deep into it, or obviously didn't feel as passionate about it as yourself. But I think that's initially what also kind of gave me a similar impression. So I hear you out on all of this. Like, I believe it or not, even though I've been laughing a lot, I'm just cracking jokes. I actually agree with a lot of what you're saying.
Yeah, no, hey man, it makes sense, and it's also just a lot more reasonable than aliens visiting the planet Earth.
Yeah.
It's just,
but it is a fun
it's more
thought.
mathematically, no, it's of course it is. Of course it is.
Like,
yeah.
I would
And
love to meet
at
one of
some
those
point-
Nordics that Travis Walton met, because they sound very attractive, at least from the illustrations. You know what I'm saying? We all want a blonde chick, a skinny blonde. Sorry, maybe that's just
Go
me.
again.
I don't know. My girlfriend's Filipina. She's got black hair. She's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, speaking of her, she just got home and I've got to cook her some dinner. So I probably got to
Sick, man.
wrap
Hey.
this up here soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for, coming on,
Yeah, no
man.
sweat.
We really appreciate you. I like to look at both sides of the story. I lean more towards belief. And, a lot is going to have to change, for me in terms of like what I consume. But I always listen to your show. I always listen to your perspective, and I think it's always healthy to look at both sides and not necessarily be, so hyper fixated on one side,
Yeah.
Like I said, I believe in free thinking. That's just my opinion. But yeah, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate everything that you do, and your commitment to, to the other side
Yeah.
of the story.
Yeah, I mean, look, and it's not, again, I want to be wrong.
Yeah,
I want to be wrong.
and I feel like eventually it'll come. I mean, I feel like we'll have that answer in our lifetime for sure.
Dust is going to settle on this story
So.
in the next couple years. You can for sure on that one. But yeah, man, no problem. It was my pleasure.
Definitely. Thanks,
Yeah,
brother.
that's right.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. I think he hated me. I think he hated me. He hated my guts. I'm sorry, man. I just like sometimes if it gets too serious, I gotta like I'm too ADHD.
I love
If it's too serious, I have to start
No, I
cracking
love
jokes. This is how I am. I'm sorry. I'm
love
sorry. For you people out there, if you're like really
I
into
love
this and you're also really serious and you're sitting in a dark room right now and you're like, man, this UFO fucking true. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry, but I gotta crack jokes. Watch my channel. You know I love this shit. And I watch previous episodes. I agree with a lot of what the guy's saying. A lot of what he's saying is stuff that I've been saying for weeks. But come on, man. Why so serious?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's a comedian too, and so maybe he's just overexerted in his regular, day job. So that could be a thing. But I feel like, yeah, I mean, if you take it too seriously, I mean,
he should have been appreciative of the fact that I was giving us business ideas. Like, I'm a solutions guy. I don't know if you realize this about me, but not about problems, I'm about solutions, okay? We can admit the problem, but what's the solution? He's talking all problems. I'm talking solutions. Do you see? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Okay? We can complain about how the game is rigged towards wanting money all day. I agree with you on that. There's nothing to debate about here. Let's accept this as our reality. What then? That's where my head is at. I'm a forward thinker. All right? So if we admit the rules of the game are this, then how do we win How do we win the game? How do we Mahomes this shit? And I tested him. He obviously is a competitive guy. He obviously likes sports. He was defending LeBron harder than he defends UFOs. Okay? So he understands wanting to win a game, wanting to be a winner. And I'm just pitching ideas here. Riddle me the enemy, why don't ya?
I don't know, man. I just, I don't know. I think that it is good to have, that yin and yang, but yeah, I don't know, bro. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, you agreed with him on a lot of things, but what does that mean for you?
I think what it means is, maybe when he stopped believing in it, or like when he saw the red flags, I think it was clear to me that he had kind of gone the far opposite direction. And I get it. Like, I kind of did the same thing with Christianity. I've been a Christian my whole life, but now I'm in Arizona and I'm meeting fucking new people. And some of these people happen to be devout Christians that are just critiquing everything about my fucking life. Like, okay, if God wants it to be, right, that doesn't mean that your interpretation of the Bible is more accurate than my interpretation of the Bible, and you got to live this life. Like, I don't care how you fucking think the Bible was interpreted, but if I want to have premarital sex, it doesn't mean that I'm fucking going to hell. Okay, motherfucker. So even so, I can still ask for forgiveness, but that's not your call to make as a fucking Christian. That's God's call to make if you're true to Christianity. So I'm just venting about an experience I had. So I understand. I went the opposite way. it actually pushed me away from Christianity. I feel a lot of the same beliefs that he has around the UFO religion, as he calls it. I feel the same about regular fucking religion. I think most of it is a fucking scam, because guess what? These preachers are asking you for money every Sunday, and they tell you to do it in the name of God. Yet you don't know these churches are taking 10 million, 20 million tax-free every fucking year. Okay? So yeah, I feel the exact same way, and I understand how you feel. But if that's the game we're playing, now you can understand why I started to feel how I felt on a previous episode when I told you that I came to a point in my life where I felt like I was a nihilist, but a positive nihilist. I'm a nihilist in the sense of, at a certain point, I started to see through the matrix of what we live in. We're all just fucking mammals that want to fuck shit up and fuck it at the same time. And we all want money to do more of that at a higher level. And if you really take a second to think about it, you'll understand that I'm speaking straight facts right now. Okay? If you don't understand, take some fucking mushrooms and you'll understand real quick. Okay? So when I accepted that, I started to question everything. In fact, I was going to give this guy a merch suggestion because I like him. I would love to grab a beer with this dude, but I think he hated me. If he took like the Stranger Things hat that he was wearing, and instead of Stranger Things, he said, question everything, that would be fire merch. And it would be so on brand for him because he questions everything. He questions everything. He questions himself because he couldn't give me a solid answer on is it 100% that all of them are non-alien and they're all human? Well, it's not 100%, but it's definitely like a 99 point. So you're saying there's a chance. Okay? So he's literally even questioning himself at this point. So he's questioning everything. It would be very on brand. And at the end of the day, that's what I'm doing too. We're all questioning everything. I'm a fucking dude who was jizzed into a fucking egg at one point in time. All right, think about this. And that egg one day popped its eyes open, saw light for the first time, and started questioning everything. And ever since, I've been doing the same damn thing. And the longer I stay here, the more I realize I'm trying to make sense of this world that I cannot make sense of. And the only way to live a productive life that I perceive to be a productive life, because that's the definition that I came up with the moment I came into this system that's run by other people, I go, okay, great. This is the way reality is. But if you start to think outside the box and think about, where did I get these beliefs? You'll realize you only got it from the people who came before you. And then if you think back long enough, the people who came before you one day were jizzed into a fucking egg, saw light for the first time, and started questioning everything. So if you realize it, we've all been abiding by unspoken and spoken man-made rules that were made by people who don't know fuck about shit and have been questioning everything since the moment they entered this fucking reality. Okay, so I understand wanting to question everything, but I'm just saying, why so serious, bro? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel like, it's healthy to question things, and like I said, not be so hyper fixated on one specific avenue, and one specific, belief system. Like I said, free thinking, bro. That's all it is, and it should be, is just free thinking, having an open mind, and just, not coming to conclusions until you're presented with the right shit, That's just my take, and that's something that I've always been fucking doing ever since I was a fucking teenager. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is the afterlife? What is, what are these things that are in the sky? What are these things that people talk about that, that look like a fucking, something that's out of this world? I'm talking about the Greys and the fucking, there's so much shit out there that, if there are claims, you got to question it, If there's if there may be some validity to a lot of that shit. And just to come down to like, you know, a conclusion that like, you know, all of it is just us. I feel like at the end of the day, that is, you know, that's just giving us too much credit, in my opinion. But yeah, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
But you made some really good points.
Thank you.
Some really solid points.
I told you before we came into this podcast that I was feeling in a no bullshit type of mood today.
Yeah. I could tell. But yeah, if you're still watching this, you're definitely in the black hole right now.
Definitely.
You're in the black hole.
Yeah. So,
you're on the other side of the black hole.
Yeah.
Shit.
The question is, when will this black hole end?
When will this